Hey y'all, Doc here. You are not on the ketogenic diet if you are not making ketones. Now, we talk about 3 best ways to get into ketosis fast. I know I've said that before, but if you have been doing this ketogenic way of eating for a while, you already know something important. Ketones rise and they fall, right along with your daily habits. One day you're feeling sharp, your energy is steady, your joints feel looser, and the next day you feel foggy and flat again. So today I'm going to teach you the fastest way to get back into ketosis when you've slipped. And I'm going to warn you right now, some of you might get accused of being a ketone chaser once you start doing this. Don't worry, they said that about me too. We'll talk about that. Let's go make some ketones. Now, before I show you the 3 ways, I want you to understand something most folks never get told. There is a good way to make ketones, there is a better way, and there is the best way. And the order might surprise you because the fastest one isn't always the one your body needs most. For my seniors watching today, this matters even more because your body's chemistry, your medications, your years of metabolic history, all of that changes which of these 3 tools is right for you and when. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly which door to walk through first. Let's start with the basics, because I want you to really understand what's happening inside you, not just follow instructions blindly. Ketones are a fuel your liver makes when it breaks down fat. They are clean-burning energy for your brain, your heart, your muscles, even your mitochondria. Those are the tiny little engines inside every one of your cells. Now, there are 3 ways to get ketones circulating in your bloodstream. You can swallow them directly. You can swallow the raw material your liver needs to make them. Or you can make your own body produce them from scratch using your own stored fat. Each one of these has a place. Each one of these has a season. And today I'm going to walk you through all 3, starting with the fastest one. Way number 1, the good way to make ketones is a supplement called BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate. Now here's what makes this one special. BHB isn't a raw material your body has to process. It is the actual ketone molecule itself, the very same one that shows up on your ketone meter when you prick your finger to test yourself. So when you swallow this supplement, you are not asking your body to do any work at all. Those ketone molecules slip right out of your gut into your circulation, and from there they have exactly 2 destinations. Either your cells burn them for energy, or your kidneys filter them out and you pee them out. That's it. Simple as that. But here's something most people don't know about BHB, and I think this is the most important part. Swallowing these ketones does more than just put a number on your meter. Those circulating ketones actually carry a signal, a kind of chemical message that talks to other cells in your body, especially cells in your liver. And that signal tells your liver, hey, we are in a ketone-making mood now. Make more. Yes, you heard that right. Ketones beget ketones. Taking BHB doesn't just give you a temporary boost. It nudges your own body to start producing its own ketones too. Now, I want to be honest with you about the downsides, because I never want to oversell anything to you. Number 1, BHB is expensive. It is not a cheap supplement, and if you're on a fixed income like a lot of my senior patients are, that matters. Number 2, on its own, BHB tastes absolutely terrible. Manufacturers have to add a lot of flavoring just to make it something you can stand to swallow. Number 3, if you take too much too quickly, especially the first time, it can cause diarrhea. Your gut isn't used to it, and it will let you know. And number 4, BHB only stays in your circulation for about 2 to 3 hours. If you don't burn it as energy in that window, you will simply pee it out, and you're back to square one. So when do I actually recommend this one? I use BHB myself when I've fallen off the wagon, maybe had a meal I shouldn't have, or when I hit that 2 o'clock afternoon slump and I don't want to reach for sugar or coffee to push through it. It is a fail-safe, fast way to put your body back into ketosis for a couple of hours when you need it most. Think of it as your emergency tool, not your everyday foundation. Now let's move to way number 2. The better way to make ketones, and this one is MCT, medium chain triglycerides. This is a special kind of fat, and the molecules are shaped differently than the long-chain fats found in most of the food we eat. Because of that special shape, these fats slip out of your digestive system and into your circulation very quickly, almost like a shortcut. But here's the key difference from BHB. Once these fats reach your liver has to do the work of converting them into ketones. They are not ready-made like BHB. Your body has to actually process them. Now, you'd think that extra step would be a disadvantage, but it's actually a huge advantage, and here's why. Because your liver is doing real work to convert MCT into ketones, you end up with a double bonus. You get ketones circulating in your blood for 6 to 8 hours, much longer than the 2 to 3 hours you get from BHB. And on top of that, you have these special fats available as backup fuel in your system as well. There's an even bigger benefit hiding here too. Every time you give your body MCT to convert, you are training that conversion machinery, that pathway your liver uses to turn fat into ketones. The more you practice it, the better and faster your body gets at doing it on its own, even without the supplement. Now, just like BHB, MCT has its downsides too, and I want you to know them before you start. The biggest one is diarrhea, especially if you start with too much too fast. These fats are absorbed differently than normal fat. They don't get fully digested the way your gut is used to. And if your digestive system hasn't seen this kind of fat in a while, it can react badly. So my advice always is start slow. A teaspoon, not a tablespoon. Let your gut get used to it over a week or two before you increase the amount. I get asked all the time, Doc, what's the right dose of MCT? And honestly, the right starting dose is whatever amount does not cause you diarrhea. That's rule number 1. But I also want to share something from the research because this matters a lot for my senior audience specifically. There is dementia literature that has actually studied MCT dosing directly, and they found that 30 to 45 grams of MCT a day has been shown to decrease mild cognitive impairment, the kind of brain fog and memory slips that often show up in patients before a dementia diagnosis. That is a meaningful, research-backed reason for folks our age to take MCT seriously, not just as a weight loss tool, but as a brain health tool. Now, here's a downside to MCT that's a little different from BHB. Unlike BHB, which your body cannot store, remember, you either burn it or you pee it out, MCT fat actually can be stored if your metabolic state isn't right. These fats can slip past your blood-brain barrier and feed your brain directly, which is wonderful. But if your body is in the wrong chemistry, those same fats can also get stored as body fat instead of being converted into ketones. It's for exactly this reason that I do not recommend my patients take MCT while they are fasting. If you're fasting, you want your body using its own stored fat, not storing new fat you just swallowed. And that brings us to way number 3, the best way to make ketones, and that is fasting. Now, I want you to really hear me on this one. The entire point of the ketogenic way of eating is to get your body's metabolic chemistry into better shape. There is a season for BHB, there is a season for MCT, but there is also a season for fasting. And fasting is the deepest, most powerful tool of the 3. Because when your body is in the right shape, meaning your internal chemistry is already correct, fasting becomes one of the most effective things you can do, especially if you're trying to reverse metabolic disease, things like type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, even some of the inflammation behind joint pain. So what does it actually mean to have the right chemistry for fasting? For starters, fasting works best when your body has already been making and using ketones in recent days. That's exactly why BHB and MCT matter so much for my seniors who are just starting out. BHB helps prime that chemistry. MCT helps even more because it trains your liver's conversion pathway, and practicing a ketogenic state for several weeks before you attempt any real fasting is one of the very best things you can do to prepare your body. Now let's talk honestly about the pros and the cons of fasting, because I never want to oversell this to you either. The big one, is that your body makes ketones directly out of your own stored fat. There's no supplement, no cost, nothing to swallow. Your body simply reaches into its own fat stores and converts that fat into clean fuel. This is a wonderful workout for your body, specifically for your mitochondria, those little energy engines inside your cells, and it genuinely helps empty out those stubborn fat stores that diet and exercise alone sometimes can't touch. Fasting also boosts what I call your feel-good hormones, norepinephrine, growth hormone, and even dopamine. It is, in every sense, a real workout for your entire metabolic system, even though you're not lifting a single weight. But here's the con, the downside, and I want to be honest with you about this too. Fasting is hard. It takes real willpower. It requires a focused, intentional denial of something we are biologically wired to do every single day, which is eat. And here's the part that matters most for folks listening today. You don't get the full health benefits of fasting if you attempt it before your body is actually ready. Those incredible benefits we just talked about are real, they are amazing, but the question you have to ask yourself honestly is your body ready yet? How long should you fast when you are ready? Those are bigger questions, and I promise you, I will walk you through every bit of that in detail in the next video, specifically about fasting. Now, I know that's a lot to take in, so let me bring it back down to something simple for you. 3 tools. BHB for a fast emergency boost when you've slipped or you're in an afternoon slump. MCT for a longer, steadier 6 to 8 hour window, while also training your body's own ketone-making machinery and even supporting your brain health with that 30 to 45 gram daily research-backed dose. And fasting, the deepest and most powerful tool of all, but only once your chemistry is already primed and ready for it. Here is how I want you to actually use this information. If you are brand new to this, or if your ketones have been low for weeks, start with MCT, a small amount daily, working your way up slowly toward that 30 to 45 gram range as your gut tolerates it, while you keep your carbohydrates low. Let that run for a few weeks, training your liver's conversion pathway. Keep BHB in your back pocket for the days you slip up or for that stubborn afternoon energy crash, knowing it will only carry you for 2 to 3 hours. So use it wisely, not as a daily crutch. And once your body has been consistently producing and using ketones for a few weeks, that is when you are ready to start thinking about fasting, the deepest tool of all, the one that asks your own fat stores to finally do the work. I also want to remind every one of you watching, especially if you're managing diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, or any other prescription, please talk with your doctor before you start fasting or before you make any significant changes to your eating pattern, because your medication needs can shift as your body's chemistry shifts. This is something we do as a team with your doctor, not instead of your doctor. Now, before you go, I want to spend just a few more minutes talking specifically to my senior audience, because I think this part matters as much as anything else in this video. A lot of you have written to me asking why ketone chasing gets such a bad reputation in some circles. Here's the honest truth. Some people in the keto community believe that the only real way to get into ketosis is through diet alone, through food and fasting, and that using a meter or a supplement to chase a number is somehow cheating or missing the point. I understand that perspective, and there is some wisdom in it, because the goal was never to just get a high number on a meter. The goal is metabolic health. But I disagree that chasing ketones is always wrong, especially for my seniors. Here's why. When you're 70, 75, 80 years old, you may not have the luxury of waiting months for your metabolism to slowly heal on its own. You may have arthritis pain right now. You may have brain fog right now. You may be pre-diabetic right now, and your doctor is watching your numbers closely. For folks in that situation, using BHB or MCT strategically isn't cheating. It's a bridge. It's a way to give your body real, usable ketones while your underlying metabolic chemistry catches up and heals in the background. So yes, I have been called a ketone chaser too, more than once, and I wear that label without shame because I have watched it help thousands of patients feel better, faster, safely, and under medical guidance. I also want to address something I hear constantly from my senior viewers, and that's fear. Fear of doing this wrong, fear of fasting causing a dizzy spell, fear of supplements interacting with medications. That fear is valid and I respect it because your safety matters more to me than any quick result. That is exactly why I want you to start with the gentlest tool first. MCT in small amounts, added to your morning coffee or stirred into a meal, is about as gentle an entry point as exists. There's no fasting window to manage, no risk of low blood sugar from missing a meal, just a small amount of fat that your liver gradually learns to convert. Once you've used MCT consistently for a few weeks and you understand how your body responds, that's when BHB becomes a useful occasional tool, and only after both of those, once your doctor is on board and your chemistry is primed, does fasting become the next safe step. Let me also talk for a moment about dosing in real practical terms, because I know 30 to 45 grams of MCT can sound abstract if you've never measured it out. A standard tablespoon of MCT oil is roughly 14 grams, so 30 to 45 grams works out to somewhere around 2 to 3 tablespoons spread across your day, not all at once. I always tell my patients, split it up. A teaspoon in your morning coffee, a teaspoon with lunch, maybe a teaspoon in the evening if your gut is tolerating it well. Spreading it out like this dramatically reduces your chances of that uncomfortable diarrhea we talked about earlier, while still giving your liver steady raw material to convert into ketones throughout the day. One more thing I want to mention, because it comes up constantly in my clinic. Some of you are going to notice that MCT oil comes in different forms: liquid oil, powders, even capsules. For my senior patients especially, I often recommend starting with a powder form mixed into coffee or a smoothie, simply because the liquid oil can feel heavy or greasy to some palates, and the powder tends to be gentler on digestion when you're just beginning. As you get more comfortable, you can absolutely move to the liquid form if you prefer, since it tends to be more concentrated and slightly more affordable per gram. I also want to gently remind you that none of these three tools work in isolation from the rest of your life. Sleep matters, stress matters. Even simple daily movement, like a short walk, helps your body use these ketones more efficiently once they're circulating. Think of BHB, MCT, and fasting as three powerful instruments, but they play their best music when the rest of your daily habits are supporting them too. I think about so many of my patients who started exactly where you are right now, a little confused about where to begin, a little nervous about doing it wrong. One gentleman in his late 70s started with nothing more than a teaspoon of MCT powder in his morning coffee. Nothing else changed at first. Within 2 weeks, his ketone meter showed numbers we hadn't seen in years, and he told me his afternoon brain fog, the thing that worried him most, had noticeably lifted. He didn't fast, he didn't take BHB, he simply gave his liver the raw material it needed and let his body do the rest. That is the kind of gentle, sustainable starting point I want for every one of you watching today. I have another patient, a retired nurse in her early 80s, who was terrified of fasting because she had read scary stories online about people fainting or getting sick. We started her slow MCT first for nearly a month, watching her ketone numbers climb steadily week by week. Only once her body was clearly producing and using ketones consistently did we even begin discussing a short 12-hour fast, nothing dramatic, simply pushing her dinner to an earlier hour and her breakfast slightly later. She told me afterward that the fear had been far worse than the actual experience, because her body was already prepared for it by the time she got there. That preparation, that patience, made all the difference between a frightening experience and a genuinely empowering one. So here is my final word of encouragement before you go. You do not need to master all three of these tools today, this week, or even this month. Pick the gentlest one, MCT, start small, watch how your body responds, and build from there. Your body already knows how to make ketones. It has known how to do this since long before any of us were born. All we are doing with these 3 tools is reminding it, giving it the raw materials, and giving it permission to do what it was designed to do all along. And one final reminder before I let you go, please talk to your doctor before starting any of these 3 tools, especially if you take medication for diabetes, blood pressure, or heart conditions. BHB, MCT, and fasting all change your body's chemistry, and your doctor needs to know what you're doing so your medications can be adjusted safely alongside you. This is a team effort between you, your body, and your medical provider, never something you should navigate entirely alone. Your safety always comes first, every single time, no exceptions. If this video helped you understand BHB, MCT, and fasting a little more clearly today, hit that subscribe button because I'm putting out videos just like this one every single week, breaking down exactly what's happening inside your body in plain, simple language, made specifically for folks who want real answers, not fluff. Hit that like button too. It helps this video reach other seniors out there who are exactly where you were a few minutes ago, confused about which tool to reach for. And in the comments below, tell me where you're starting, BHB, MCT, or are you already further along, getting ready for your first real fast? I read every single comment, and I'll see you in the next video, where we go deep on fasting itself. Take care of yourselves, y'all.